Equations of lines. You took Math 201. You did this already. All right, so we're given slope equals negative 11/7. Y-intercept 0, negative 3. Yeah. Okay, so they want us to find equations of lines. Well, actually, this one, I'm not going to do the norm. This one's super easy. So, do you remember whenever we graph, we've graphed a few times now, when you get y alone, say you got y equals, I'll just make something up here, 2/9 x plus 14. I'm just going to make something up. I know that's not our question or anything, but I just want to reason with you for a second. If I wrote that, you know that this 2/9 is the slope, right? Whenever y is alone, the fraction next to x is the slope. You know that. And what's the 14? That's the y-intercept. Yeah, so I'm just reminding you that slopes are always the fraction next to x and the y-intercept's the other thing. Well, if that's the case, and they're giving me the slope, and they're giving me the y-intercept, well, then there's no work to do. It's just minus 11/7 x minus 3, because that's where the y-intercept goes. You don't need to do anything with a 0. Don't worry about it. That's what it means to be a y-intercept. Your x coordinate is 0. We're done. So this was super simple. They're going to get way harder in a second. But that's all. No work to do on that one, right? If they give you the slope and the y-intercept, that's the key. They gave me the y-intercept. They're not going to do that again. They do it on number 1 and number 2. They give me the y-intercept. Just type it in, write it down. You're done. Okay. Now, 1 and 2 were straight ahead. 3 starts the real stuff. Okay, so now, it's a real question. Now, they're giving me m equals 5. What is m? Slope. They always use m for slope. I think it comes from some French word which means slope. So some French guy told me a long time ago, so I believe it. Because I always thought, why do they use m for slope? Why don't they use s? Well, anyway, so m means slope. So whenever you see m, it's slope. And then they give me the point 4, 2. Notice they're not saying y-intercept anywhere. Right? Everybody see the difference? Let me go back. So number 2, what? Yeah, I'm on number 2. Y-intercept. Right? That's why that one was so darn easy. They gave me silver platter. They handed me the y-intercept. Right? But here on number 3, 4, 2, that's not a y-intercept. They're not calling it a y-intercept. I mean, it's not a y-intercept. So I'm going to have to do a little more work. How do you do this? Well, I'm going to do a different plan than Math Excel. I try not to do that because I don't want to confuse you. When you click on the question help button, I like it to be the same way I've shown you, but every now and then when my way is a little easier, I deviate. So I think it's worth it. So I'm deviating here. So I'm going to give you a different game plan. Here's what it is. Slope equals what? You remember the slope formula? Yeah, that's right. Let me try to make this as easy as I can by reminding you what you already know. Remember the slope formula? Don't write this down for a second. I'm going to change it. But remember the y2, y1, x2, x1. Didn't we even do that like last week? Mm-hmm. Yeah, do you remember the slope formula, right? So here's I got this from a student years ago. I thought it was a real easy, good way to do it. Is just take that slope formula, because we don't want like a whole new formula. Math Excel will use a whole new formula, which is fine. If you're good with their way, feel free. I never care how you do anything on test. But here's an easy idea. Just use the same old slope formula we've been using all along, but just erase the back. Just make those blanks. And in the front, instead of y2 and x2, just make it plain y and plain x. So there we go. It's like a simple version of the slope formula. Blanks in the back, just plain y and plain x. And then this will do it for us. Here we go. What do you think I'm going to put in this slope spot? Well, the slope, the 5, huh? Yeah, the 5. Okay, and the y minus blank and the x minus blank. What do you think I'm going to put in the back of the blanks for the x and the y? Yeah, the x and the y, right. Yeah, remember x is always the first coordinate, y is always the second, right? So that x, that 4 will actually go on the bottom, won't it? And the 2 in the top. Yeah. We good to there? Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, remember what we always do when you have a whole number, like 5, it's not a fraction? Interacting with something that is a fraction? Put it over 1. Yeah, put it over 1 so that it looks like a fraction. It's easier to deal with it. And now I'm just going to cross multiply. Have you seen that before? Let's go diagonal, diagonal, right? So 5 to x minus 4, and 1 to y minus 2 like that. So 1 y minus 2, 5 x minus 4. So we good to there so far. Does everybody see how I took that step? Does that make sense? I just did 1 y minus 2, and then 5 x minus 4. And now just distribute and distribute. So we get y minus 2, 5x minus 20 when I distribute that right side. Last thing is always getting y alone, right? So what do I do to get y alone?
Add 2 to this.
Just add that 2. Like that. Cancels out. 5x minus 18. That's the answer. That's the answer. Already entered right there. So that makes sense. Let me recap. You know what a lot of the battle is in our math test? It's recognition, huh? A lot of times people will know all the steps fairly well, but they have trouble telling when to do which one, right? You get the exam in your hand, they kind of all look alike. So let me help with that in particular. What's the key words or the key phrase that's going to remind you to do this whole special thing we just did? Well, and find the equation especially. That's the key phrase. When you see find the equation, that's when you go, oh, that's that whole slope cross multiply thing. Right. That's when we do this. When you see the words, that's how you want to prepare yourself for the exam that we're going to take in a couple of weeks. That's why I give you the practice exam. You know, in that is a and you have a 3x5 card. I would definitely write this. Write a whole example of this if you want on your 3x5 card. But you're still going to need to recognize it. That's the battle because you're going to have 25 questions on that exam, and they're going to be all mixed up. No special order. And there'll be like probably 2 or 3 that say find the equation. They're going to have to jump off the page for you when you read it. Find the equation. And that's what you should put on your 3x5 card is find the equation. When you see those, it's this whole process. So that's the phrase. So when you see find the equation, you write slope equals y minus blank over x minus blank. You know, the slope formula with the blanks in the back. Put the stuff in, cross multiply, and solve for y. Okay, so they're giving me slope 3, 7/3. Find, there's that key phrase, find an equation. So same thing, try that. So your first step is to write slope equals y minus blank over x minus blank. It's like a slope formula with blanks at the back. It's doing okay. So put in the slope of 4. 4 equals y minus x minus. And then put in 7 and 3. That's your x and your y, right? Make sure you put the x in the back of x. You could accidentally reverse them. Watch out. So good like that. Put that over 1. Go diagonal, diagonal. Cross multiply. Up here we get 4x minus 7, 1. It doesn't matter. I put the y on the left last time. It doesn't really matter, left side, right side. It doesn't matter which side you have it on. Everybody okay with that? If you have those switched, that's fine. It doesn't matter. So I just went diagonal, diagonal, and lay it flat, right? And then distribute. 4x minus 28, boom, boom. y minus 3. There's the wall. Last step, as always, get that y alone. So I add the 3. 4x, what's that, minus 25. There it is. Is that good? How many got that? You get that right? Good. Okay, lots and lots of you. Wait, I know, speed up or slow down. Questions I can answer on that one? All good? Okay. All right. We got some word problems to do today. I want to get to those. All right, so let's try one more time. Let's try the same thing again. So what's the key phrase? Find an equation. Yeah, that's how you recognize on the exam as well. Nothing else will say that. Nothing else on the exam will say find an equation. Just this type. How we doing? So slope, or m if you want, equals y minus blank over x minus blank, right? And then take the slope of 0, the m is 0, and the x and the y, you got what, 0, negative 9, that's the x, that's the y. So 0 goes in the back there, negative 9. Everybody good with that double negative thing? Right? Because there's minuses in the formula. Y minus x minus, and then y itself is negative 9. You know double negative positive, right? So we get 0 equals y plus 9, where x minus 0 is just x. Good so far? Now don't worry about that 0 over there. Just keep moving with all the normal steps. What do we always do next? Put it over 1 and cross multiply. Just keep going. 0 times x and 1 times y plus 9. We good so far? I haven't done anything weird. Just all same, huh? Right, we good? Just put this over 1, cross multiply. What is 0 times anything?
0.
Yeah, it's not x, it's just 0 over there. X, poof, gone. X has vanished. Because 0 times x is 0. 1 distributes. Last step is always to get y alone. Subtract 9. Y equals minus 9. That's the answer. No x left. We good? Getting the hang of that whole process? So whenever they say find the equation, we write slope equals y minus blank over x minus blank. Plug stuff in, cross multiply, get y alone.
If the slope is 0, though, couldn't we just look to the y?
You could. Yeah, there's shortcuts. If you look at that and you go, oh, I know, slope 0 is a flat line. And it's going through negative 9, that's y equals negative 9. Done. Yep. If you're comfortable enough with all that, you could just jump right to the answer. Yep. That's totally fine. I'm happy with it. A little more tricky. So now, they're going to be a little more tricky. So, all the rest of the equations in this section, let me mention, they're all going to say find the equation. What they're going to do now is they're going to try to be more tricky about your slope. They're going to try to be more tricky about how they give you the slope. If you look back to the last few questions, they just handed us the slope. Here we go. Slope 0, right? Slope 4, right? Slope 5. They just told me the slope right away on all the last problems. Now, I don't see the slope anywhere. So you first get your slope. Then use the slope equals y minus the blank over x minus blank. So there's step 1, step 2 now. So now there's an extra step. And that's all the rest, not just this one. I mean, number 7, number 8, number 10, all the way to 14. All the rest, we just have this extra step where we have to get our own slope. The second part's the same. It's going to be the same thing we've been doing with the slope equals y minus blank over x minus blank. All that's the same. It's just we begin differently by getting the slope. So how do I get a slope? Because they're not handing me a slope. They don't say slope anywhere. How do I get my own slope? Yeah, just like we did last week. Yeah, we used the original slope formula, yeah? So slope, so you do the y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, just like we did last week, where you plug in all four numbers, right? And then after we do that, we're going to reuse the slope formula the new way, with the blanks in the back. Does that make sense? We're going to use slope formula twice on this one. All right, let's do it. So it's going to be 2, 5. So you remember how this works, right? This is x1, y1, x2, y2. So y2 minus y1, 8 minus 5 over 6 minus 2. We good? And what's that? 3/4. So now we've got a slope. Now it's the same. Once you've got your slope, part 2 is the same. I'll kind of running out of room, so I'll come up here to do it. Part 2, you just go slope. Oops, that says slope. Slope equals y minus blank over x plus blank. So you take that slope, put it in. And now what am I going to put in the back of the x and the y? We actually have a couple of choices. You could either do the 2, 5 or the 6, 8. It doesn't really matter. You got more than you need. I'll just grab the 2, 5. So now the x goes into the 2 goes in the back of the x because that's x, and 5 with the y, and then you know from here cross multiply. It would work just fine if you use 6, 8. Be the same answer in the end. So cross multiply. What's that going to be? 3 x minus 2, 4 y minus 5. Distribute. 3x minus 6, 4y minus 20. Good to there so far? Want to get y alone? What do you got to do? Add that 20. 3x plus 14. Divide by 4. Y is alone. Now I got to reduce this 14 over 4, huh? So let me do that over here. So y equals 3/4 x plus 14 over 4. Reduce that 7 over 2. Divide top 1 by 2. There we go. So you see how that's the same thing as the last few problems? We just had to get a slope in step 1. All the rest is the same. That's what they're going to do. All the rest of these questions, they're going to get even more tricky than this. They're going to try to be tricky about it. But you just keep telling yourself, somehow they're giving me a slope. Somehow I got to get a slope first, and then I do the y minus blank over x minus blank. Cross multiply. That good? Game plan making sense? All the rest? Get our own slope? I will skip the next one. All right, so number 7. So there we go. I've already got the answer there for you, so you can check it. So give that a try. They're giving you those 2 points. What's the first thing you got to do? Get yourself a slope. So first thing is slope. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So this is x1, y1, x2, y2. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, which is negative. So we've got the double negative thing going on, right? So that slope will equal, what's that, 1 over positive 7? So it's positive 1/7. Good to there. So that's all part 1. Part 2. Slope equals y minus blank over x minus blank. Good. We good to there? Is this making sense? So plug that slope in. And now plug in, and you can use either point, right? Remember how that works? You can do negative 7, 0 or 0, 1. It doesn't really matter. I always just grab the first pair, but the other pair would work fine. You can't mix and match. You can take one from this, one from that. You got to do the two together, either the first two or the last two. So minus 7 for x, 0 for y. That's what I'm going to do. Maybe you did the 0, 1. That's fine. You'll see we'll get the same answer in the end. Good. So what do we get? 1/7 equal y minus 0 is just y over x plus 7. Is that okay what I did there? Y minus 0, that's just y, isn't it? Take away nothing. So now I can go cross multiply. Diagonal, diagonal. 1 times x plus 7 equals 7 times y. Distribute. X plus 7. 1 doesn't change anything. Last step, divide through by 7. Y equals x over 7 plus 1, which is the same answer. We good? Questions I can answer on that one?
You could do the 1 over 7x, right?
Totally, yeah. If you want to put a 1 on the top, that's okay. It's understood to be there. It's invisible, understood 1. So either way. All right, they're going to get more tricky now. You ready? They're going to start trying to throw you a curveball. So what do we always do in step 1? What's up here in step 1? Slope. First thing you do, always get your hands on a slope, right? And then the rest is the same. The slope equals y minus blank over x minus blank, cross multiply, that whole. Okay, so it's given you the point 3,6, and this equation, that's kind of weird. And what's the buzzwords that you're going to recognize on the test? Yeah, I guess it says write an equation instead of find an equation, but basically the same, right? Write an equation, find an equation, that's the phrase. You go, oh yeah, that's the slope equals with the blanks at the back and the cross multiply, right? But what do we have to do first? Find the slope. So where's the slope? They're not giving me 4 numbers this time, right? The last problem they gave me the 4 numbers so I could just find my own slope. How am I going to find a slope this time? Yeah, remember how we get an equation to cough up a slope? How can we get this equation right here to give us a slope? How do you get any equation to give you a slope? Get y alone. And the slope is next to x. That's where he's hiding. Do you get their trickery? They're just trying to come at you different ways and see if you remember how to get your own slope. And as soon as you got the slope, they all finish the same. Y minus blank, x minus blank, cross multiply, blah, blah, blah. It's all the same. Just get your slope. So let's get our slope. So first step, step 1, find the slope, meaning get y alone. So I take the equation x plus 9y is 7. And I get y alone. So subtract x. So 9y is minus x plus 7. Right? Divide by 9. Boom. What's the slope?
-1/9.
Good, because there's really an understood 1 in the top, isn't there? Invisible. It's your invisible friend. It's your invisible multiplier up there. It's always a 1. Invisibly there. So the slope is -1/9 right here. Isn't it? So whenever you get y alone, the slope is the fraction next to x. So there it is. There's the fraction next to x. And now, you know what to do with it from there. The finish is the same. Slope equals y minus blank, x minus blank. Plug it in, cross multiply, blah, blah, blah. Right, so let's do that. I'll come up here and finish. So slope equals y minus blank over x minus blank. Everybody see how I got that slope? That okay? Right? We got y alone. By the way, actually, let me make a special note. Let me stop. They're saying the word parallel here. So what that means, really, this equation right here, this equation, is not our line's equation. It's some other line's equation. We're going to find our line's equation. That's some other line's equation, but our line is parallel to the given line. Ours is parallel, which means ours has the same slope. So whatever slope this one has, ours is the same slope. Because why? Because it's parallel. Now, what they're going to do on the next problem, instead of parallel, they're going to say perpendicular. Perpendicular. Abraham's favorite question. We're just talking about the hour for perpendicular. So what do we do with perpendicular? We just talked about it a few minutes ago, right? What do we do with perpendicular? Upside down, change the sign. So if they said perpendicular on this one, I would need to take this -1/9, this line slope, and realize that my line slope, which is not the same as this line, would be upside down and change sign, be positive 9 over 1, or positive 9. Does that make sense? If they, now they didn't, they said parallel, so I'm just going to leave it the same. I'm not going to mess with it at all. Ours is the same. But when they say perpendicular in a minute, you'll flip it, change the sign. Because that's what perpendicular means. Opposite in every way. Like street, like a corner where the two streets go opposite directions. Right? Opposite sign, opposite upside down. Okay, so that'll be in a minute. For this one, we just keep it the same, -1/9. So just plug in the slope, -1/9 equals y minus blank over x minus blank. Oh, and a negative on a fraction, remember, we just throw that in the top. It just makes it easier. You can put it in the bottom. You can't put it in both. Two negatives would be positive. That's wrong. But top or bottom only, I just put it in the top, make it easy. So just put it in the top. Y minus blank over x minus blank. What's going to go behind the blanks? Well, that's the 3, 6 over here that we haven't used yet. Right? The 3 is the x. X is always first, then y. And the y is the, what is it, 6? There we go. We good? Diagonal, diagonal. -1 times x minus 3. 9 times y minus 6. Just usual here, right? Just normal. Distribute minus x plus 3. Distribute 9y minus 54. Kind of running out of room here. Got to go over here. So minus x plus 3, 9y minus 54. Y's here, I don't want to be alone. So add 54 to both sides. And we get minus x plus 57 is 9y. And last step is to divide through by 9. Right. Divide through. There we go. Boom. I think 57 over 9 reduces a little bit.
Yeah, 19 over 3.
Yeah, divide by 3, top and bottom, yeah. I'm a little tired of fooling with this problem at this point. I didn't want to do more. All right, 57 over 9, yeah, we got to divide by 3, top and bottom, 19 over 3, there we go.
It doesn't want that as an answer, though.
It doesn't like that as an answer.
No.
I like that as an answer.
I do, too.
Yeah, no, that should be the equation.
No, watch.
I'll check with you in a minute. Questions on that one? We good? Yeah.
Only because she said it, if it's not putting it as an answer, then how are we supposed to put it in what form?
No, it'll take it as an answer.
Oh.
Questions on that? That good? All right. Okay. So notice the key word, perpendicular. So it's just like the last one. There's the words, write the equation, you know. Got to get your own slope, but when you get it, flip it and change the sign, right? Because it's perpendicular. So then try that one. See, there's is 5 of you, and you put 6 there. You're looking at mine, and there's another big switch.
Why does it have to make a little difference?
So perpendicular, so flip that slope and change that sign, right? All right. So first, find the slope, get y alone. 6x plus y is 9. So get y alone. That won't be hard. So subtract 6x from both sides. And we get y equals minus 6x plus 9. So y is alone. Good so far. So there's the slope of this other line that's not my line. That's the slope, right? Next, when you get y alone, what's next to x is slope. That's the slope for that line. So my slope is what? Yeah. So positive 1/6. Everybody good? So I took the minus 6, which is really minus 6 over 1. I flipped it, 1 over 6, changed the sign to positive.
And this is only perpendicular?
Perpendicular, yeah. So the whole reason, exactly right, is because they're saying perpendicular. That means upside down, opposite slope. The slope is opposite in every way. Opposite sign and upside down. So now the rest is the same. Now that you got your slope, slope equals y minus blank, x minus blank, plug them in, cross multiply, get y alone. It's all the same. Right. So it's going to be slope equals y minus blank over x minus blank. Plug in your slope. Slope is 1/6. Y minus over x minus. And it's 4, 9, huh? For the x and y. 4, 9. So the x is 4, the y is 9. All good to there? You read that over those words. And then diagonal, 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 diagonal. 1 times x minus 4. 6 times y minus 9. Distribute. Everybody good to there? And then y is saying I want to be alone. So add 54 to both sides. X plus 50. And last step. Divided by 6. Well, I guess I got to reduce that fraction again. So what is that? X over 6 plus reduce that thing 25 thirds? So let's just reduce the 50 over 6, divide top and bottom by 2. There we go. Is that a happy problem now? We good? Questions I can answer? Yeah?
So for the parallel one before, we won't do anything different, it's just when it's perpendicular that we have to flip.
That's right. So parallel, we don't do anything different. Perpendicular, we have to flip it and change the sign. Exactly right. Good? We all good with that? So on the exam we take, a couple weeks, going to be like 3 of these. And one of them will be a parallel or a perpendicular. I don't even remember which one, but there'll certainly be a parallel or a perpendicular one. Because we got bigger fish to fry. We got a whole word problem section. All right, so so if they're charging for a phone, some kind of or media service, whatever, it's $40. Yeah, for a phone. Yeah, $40 for the phone. Oops, I'm scribbling that. $40 and then $20 per month. So it's $40 to buy it, and then $20 per month. Okay, and then they want me to write a formula for it. Before I jump to the formula, let's just think real. I think math is easier if you just think real about it for a minute. What if I think every one of you could figure, yeah, I'm sure, every one of you, if I said, hey, I'm going to buy and use this phone for exactly 1 year, 12 months. And then, so how much am I going to pay total? What is the total amount that's going to come out of my bank account if I use this phone for 1 year, 12 months? How would you figure that out? I mean, I don't care the final answer. I just mean, what would you mechanically add or multiply or subtract or divide? You know, what would you do? Yeah, you'd go. Well, you go 12 times the 20, right? Because it's $20 a month. A year's 12 months. Plus the 40, and you could add the 40 in the front first or the back. It doesn't really matter, which you all know, right? You just need to add the 40 at some point. 40 is the one-time charge, right? And then you got 12 times 20 because you got to pay the $20 thing for 12 months. Right, and I don't even care what the answer is. I just care about the mechanics. What if that's for 12 months? What if I was only going to use it, what if I was going to use it for 18 months? How would you figure out my total bill for 18 months? Well, you just make that an 18, huh? You all know that. I don't need to, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. You would just go 18 times 20, add the 40, right? So instead, what if we do it for, see what they said? T months. So just do with the T what you did with the 12 or the 18. It's the same thing. T's just you don't know the number. So what do you do with the T? Times the 20, add the 40. That's it. That's the formula. I put the 40 first, but it doesn't matter. It's the same. You know, the order of adding never matters, right? Does that make sense, that formula? The T is just representing the number of months, isn't it? See how you think better with real-life numbers than you do with letters? I'd encourage you to try that. So now, if you're ever stuck on a word problem, I learned that in all the millions of math classes and word problems I had to solve. It helped me. I noticed I thought a lot better, more clearly, when I just, I'd read some hard word problem, and they'd have letters everywhere, and I'd be like, I don't know. And then I would just think, hey, what if it was a 10? And I would go, oh, yeah. I would go times the 10, and I would think better with a number. And then I would just back up and put a letter in the place, like I just did there. So I want to try that. Now, which of those, so there's the thing. Which of those is the graph? How would you graph, if you were to graph that, pretend this is like y equals, and just pretend this is an x, basically. Same thing. How would you graph it? Where would you start? Where would be your first dot? Up at 40. You'd start here, right? Way up here at 40. And then where would you go for the slope? What's the slope? 20 over 1, right? You'd go up 20 over 1. It'd be pretty steep. So which one of those looks like that? Yeah, I think so too. But I'm not 100% sure. It's not A, because A starts at the origin. It's not B, because B is a flat line. Good? So both these start... Now, this one looks more steep. It's probably C. I'd have to look closer at I'd have to hit the microscope thing and look exactly what these are. I think you're right.
Because it
Because
goes
it goes
up
up
to
to
450.
450, yeah. So the increments would be.
I can't tell. No, they're both starting at the same height, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
So they're both just below the first mark, so that must be at 40. But they would depend on the slope. Yeah, I don't got time. If you want to talk about, you'd have to do the thing and look closely at the slope. And
It's D.
I think it's D, actually. Yeah, it's because you might say, no, that's the, well, it's because I used a different scale. I'm just doing up one, over one. This scale is something bigger. I don't know what it is. It's like in something bigger. I don't know. Yeah, I just don't want it to, no, I'm on it. 14's a hard one, I forgot. 14. Okay, so yeah, I've already written the answer there. But how do we do this? 1995, life expectancy of males is in a certain country 68.7 years. In 2000, it went up to 71.6 years. So write a formula. So, real life word problem about how life expectancy goes up over years. Make a line equation. So here's how we do it. Basically, this is the same thing as them saying find the equation. So what am I going to do? That means I'm going to first get a slope. It's just like all the rest, except it's a word problem leading to that same thing. What do we do, number one? Get slopes. So I got to get a slope. Let me help you with this. When they give you 68.7, they're giving you year and life expectancy. Life expectancy. They're saying in the year...
So those are points on a graph.
2000, those are points on a graph. Life expectancy was 68.7. And then in the year... Wait a minute, I'm getting confused. Oh, 95 it was that, huh? Yeah, I'm getting it off there. 1995 it was that. And in the year 2000, it was 71.6. With me so far? I'm just writing down the data. They're saying in 1995, life expectancy was 68.7. In the year 2000, it was 71.6. Okay, so what? Well, then one other thing. They're also asking me to convert time to all be relative to the year 1995. They do this all the time in science problems. They'll have some point in time be the starting time. So they're saying 1995 is like time zero. Does that make sense? They're starting this experiment, this tracking of life expectancy improving over time thing in 1995, right? Number of years since 95. That means 95 is the start. So if 95 is the start, it's like if I'm doing a stopwatch and I want to see how fast you guys can do problems. Ready, go. And I start right at 2:33, and that's time zero on my little clock, and then you guys see how fast you can do problems. It's kind of like what they're doing. They're saying 95 is the start of this little life expectancy experiment. So that means 1995 is time zero, and 2000 is what time? 5. Because again, 95 is the zero. They do that all the time. Take biology, chemistry, all those science classes. These little formulas, they always have a starting time. Does that make sense? 1995 is the starting time. Everything is how long you're past 95.
And that gives us our slope. Okay.
Exactly. So all they're really giving me is 0, 68.7 and 5, 71.6. We just did a bunch of those where they gave us the 2 points. Remember? That's all it is. Right? First thing you got to do is get your slope. How do you get your slope? y2 minus y1. Use the 4 numbers, right? They're giving me the 4 numbers. So I just go, oh, this is, come over here. This is x1, y1, x2, y2, right? So y2 minus y1, 71.6 minus 68.7 over x2 minus x1, 5 minus 0. Everybody see what I'm doing? I'm just going to do all the normal stuff when they give me the 4 numbers. First, find the slope. Probably going to be a little messy. I don't know, what is it? 1.3, 2.9 over 5. Is it like 0.5 something? 0.58, 0.59? Also, it'll round to 0.6. Oh, no, whatever. Point, yeah, but it's,
0.5.
yeah. You know what, actually, let's just leave it this way. Because we need a fraction anyway for the cross multiply. And it's not a good idea to round halfway through a problem. It's best to round at the end, not halfway through. So I'm just going to leave it 2.9 over 5. Because now I still have step 2, right? Where you do the cross multiply and all that. Make sense? See what I'm doing?
You just choose 2 points and then you do the whole thing.
That's right.
2.9 over 5 is the slope, and then you multiply it by
Just the same as the other ones we're doing. Yeah.
y minus your 2 points.
Yep. So yeah, so now, yeah, let me show that. So now you just go, okay, well, I'm kind of out of room. Here, let me erase this and put it up there further. So it was, what was it, 0, 68.7, and 5, 71.6. So yeah, so now I've got my slope. So now you go, you know where to go from here. You go slope equals y minus blank over x minus blank. So slope equals, so this over y minus blank over x minus blank. And that is going to be, well, what do you do for the x and the y? You just grab these two, or the other two, doesn't really matter. It's your x and your y. X minus 0, y minus 68.7, diagonal, diagonal. 2.9 times x minus 0 equals 5 times y minus 68.7. Good. To there. Everybody see what I'm doing? I'm just doing the same stuff we always do. Diagonal, diagonal. This is going to be 2.9x. Boom, boom. 5y minus, I'm tired of it. Da-da-da. Is that good enough? That's it. We need to get to other things. So it's all the same for there. Just get y alone. I'm tired of messing with all those numbers. You should calculate whatever they are. I could do them all in my head. I hate to show off though, so I'm just kidding. Good? We good with all that? Makes sense. So it's just a fancy it's just a fancy 2 points, isn't it? Life expectancy year, or I guess it's year, life expectancy, year, life expectancy. It's just a fancy 2 points. And just remember, 95 is the starting time. So there we go. All right. I'm going to move on.